What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about swimming in New World and why I think it should be added before release. When it comes to overall exploration and general gameplay feel, I think swimming is one of the most important things that Amazon could add to improve and dramatically change the way exploration feels. Now, if you already disagree, I ask you simply to give me some time, and if you still feel that way at the end, that's okay. I just want to give you an idea on what a small feature could mean to people like me. Before we get started, please do consider subscribing to get more videos on New World. I've been getting a ton of support recently, and I can't thank you all enough. Okay, now, let me explain. I played New World heavily during the preview, and it was amazing. I spawned on the beach with a massive horde of players, all trying to get their first quest done, and the area seemed massive, with wide open beach lines and lots of land to explore in the forest. There was even a cave in the far distance on the side of a mountain. Even though I knew there would be lots to explore, the first area blew me away, with how beautiful it looked and how amazing it sounded. The sound design is amazing. Being able to hear people gather and fight across the valley, I was immersed. At this point, I knew there would be more for me to explore and fight than I originally thought. I was excited to explore and find any secret that was hid away. It was fun, and it felt rewarding. The combat, even though it had some flaws, was engaging and fun. I played for several more hours, finding nothing that took away from my enjoyment of the game, but it was still early game. Now, the part that I didn't mention was that in between running back to the starting beach to hand in quests, I looked out across the ocean and wondered how far I could swim. I thought to myself that it would be pretty far. Since there was plenty to explore in the starting area, I instantly assumed you would be able to swim and dive into the water. I mean, it's a game that's described as being very immersive, plenty to explore, plenty to fight both AI and players. So why wouldn't you be able to swim? I didn't test it at the time because I got distracted and wanted to see the other zones. But after a while, I found myself in Everfall doing quests when I found myself scaling up the Arcturus Tower, which is a massive landmark beside the main town of Everfall, and it's surrounded by water. After completing my mission at the top, I come back down, and my natural thought would be to swim across the lake for a faster route back to town. So I tried it. I start to step in the water, clueless. The water gets up to my head, and at this point, I'm expecting the swim animation to start, but instead I just continue walking on the lake floor, getting deeper, no animation, no nothing, just walking slower, and a visible breath icon for 20 seconds pops up. Now at this point, I was still confused, and I assumed my character was just bugged, and in my head, that had to be the case. In an open world survival MMO, why wouldn't you have swimming? This is my first time trying to swim, and knowing that the game wasn't in a super polished state, I assumed it was just a bug with my character, and walked around to the bridge, headed back to town, and continued on about my day. The next time, and the time that made me realize it wasn't a bug, was when I was in Brightwood. Just north of Everfall, there's a piece of land surrounded by water, and there's 3 bridges to get across. Since I had logged out and done a ton of things since I last tried to swim, I figured I'd try it again, because there's no way I'm still bugged. My plan was simple, to swim across the lake to the back side of the camp and try to scale onto the rocks because I wanted to go around the enemies scattered across all the bridges. It seemed like the most efficient way to get in and explore the camp, and this is where disappointment struck. After doing a bunch of kill and collect quests, all I wanted to do was explore as much as I could and as fast as possible, because I wanted to see more secrets if there was some hidden away and experience the beautiful world. So I ran around to the back with my plan in mind to skip all the enemies that would just be a hassle to kill. I stepped into the water and walked in. Soon the water was up to my head, and like last time, I'm expecting the swim animation to start soon. But it was all the same. I just kept walking on the river floor, and that's when it hit me. I ran back to the camp and went AFK to look across the forums to see if swimming was in the game, and everybody told me there was no swimming. I was pretty let down by this, and I'm not going to pretend like it ruined the entire game for me. It was just the only thing in the game that truly disappointed me, simply because it felt so limiting. No longer could I try to swim out into the ocean for no reason other than just wanting to. No making my own plan to clear out camps or explore when it comes to water, and no diving for some resources that might lay under the murky water. Like I said, the game was still fun, this didn't ruin it, but it simply took away from it, and it felt like an artificial lock was put on to what and how you could explore. A lot of people seem to agree that when they play New World, they feel like it should have swimming. Many were tricked by themselves and assumed it would be for the longest time, just like me. Swimming might seem like a non-essential mechanic, and honestly, most of the time it is. But because of the beauty, depth, and scale of New World, I would argue that swimming is essential, not only for simply being able to explore things how you want and create your own version on how to go about something, but it also opens up the option of being able to pack extra things to do specifically in deep water. Like, for example, a resource that is only in the deepest of water, which you might need a tincture that helps you hold your breath for longer just to be able to reach it. There's a ton of examples and ideas for underwater exploration and underwater content. I think the most interesting thing it could affect is PvP. If you get chased, maybe the only option you would have is to dive into murky waters in hopes of breaking sight of the enemy, or even setting up an ambush just for fun. Now, let me restate that if the game launches with no swimming, it will not be a flop because of it. It's just a small loss of something that can add so many possibilities to allow players to create their own version of how they think the content should be played. And giving players the ability to create their own content in as many ways as possible is one of the most important things when it comes to an MMO, in my opinion. There's a lot of potential that comes with a small game mechanic, and I hope more people see it. Be sure to tell me if you agree or disagree. I value outside opinions, and it's interesting to see what you all think about the subjects. If you don't know already, I'll be making videos on only New World. So if you want to see more, be sure you subscribe now. It's free, and you can always unsub later. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, have a good one.